You're listening to Becoming More Me, the podcast for high-achieving entrepreneurs and professionals who want to have relaxed success and more pleasure in their lives, who understand that being more and doing less is the real secret to happiness and success, and yet sometimes maybe struggle with the concept. I'm here to help you and guide you on the never-ending journey of becoming. My name's Theresa Levine. I'm an EFT master practitioner, a hypnotherapist, and an international best-selling author. And today is Christmas. It's also the first day of Hanukkah. So happy holidays to all of you celebrating either or both in our case. And I'm wishing you just a peaceful, joyous, prosperous holiday season, however you are spending it, whatever you're doing. And today I'm offering you a replay of an episode that I aired almost exactly a year ago. And I'm doing that because I understand that we can be more and do less. And the message in this episode that I put out last year is so very relevant. I could probably create a whole new episode with a different type of story that tells the same thing and has the same message. But you know what? I'm going to enjoy the holidays with my family and replay this one. If you listened to it last year, it's going to be worth re-listening to. I just re-listened to it to make sure it was relevant for this year. And I learned from my own podcast and was able to really connect dots on different things that happened this year too. And if you haven't watched it, then it's going to be brand new to you anyway. But I do want to preface this by saying that yes, this is a replay. There's some things in it that I'm talking about that are no longer available. However, I do talk about a book club that this time last year I was getting ready to run. Well, that book club now lives inside of my school community, which is my free community that you can join that has over $20,000 worth of resources, including this amazing 8-week coaching program that accompanies my book. So whether or not you have the book, which you can get in any of its 3 formats on Amazon, Kindle, paperback, or Audible, my favorite version, you can enjoy this coaching simply by going to school, that's SKOOL.com/discovery, typing in my name, Theresa Levine. You will see there on the discovery page when you type in my name, the community, Becoming More Me, will pop up and you can join it. If you're already a member, you can find the 8-week coaching program from my book club in the classroom on school. But if you're not a member, you just simply need to join. We will approve you to join the group and you can start digging into the book club coaching that's in there, as well as so many other resources to support you on this journey. I also mentioned later on about insight calls that are available. That information and the booking link are still applicable. And we've got about a week left in 2024 right now, and I still am running my end of year sale. So this is your last week to lock in 2024 prices that are also discounted because of the end of year sale. Come January 1st, prices are going up. So if you know that doing this work is important to you and that you want to do it in 2025, book a call with me. And whether you want to start now or you want to put a deposit down to start in the next few months, you can lock in the prices that are available now. So I highly recommend doing that. Send me a message, book a call, whatever you need to do so that we can get that locked in for you so that you don't miss that opportunity. Because yeah, if you know that you really want to create change in your life, you want to show up differently in your business, in your relationships, as a parent, as a sister, mother, daughter, whoever, and you're getting in the way of that yourself, then we can totally work on rewiring your subconscious and nourishing your nervous system so that you literally start showing up differently in your life and you start to break through these resistance points that have made it so hard for you before. And from there, man, things get so much more fun, easier, attractive, magnetizing. It's such a cool process to go through with just countless benefits. So if you've been mulling over your life and your business and your goals and your desires, and you're feeling like, man, I just don't quite know how to get from where I am now to where I want to be, hop on a call. You'll get some great insights and breakthroughs from me, whether or not you choose to work with me further than that or not. So highly recommend that. I'm going to let you listen to the episode now. Just wanted to make sure you had those updates and wish you a very happy, wonderful, connective, warm, amazing holiday season. All right. Thank you for spending 2024 listening to Becoming More Me. I appreciate each and every one of you. Here's the episode. It all starts now. Hey there. Thanks for tuning in to Becoming More Me. It's just you and me today. And I always like to take this time right before we transition into a new calendar year to just have a heart-to-heart, try to do my best to set you up right, and share some amazing things that I think will be helpful. I truly believe that no one needs a new calendar year in order to flip a page, start a new chapter, embrace something new, release something old, whatever it is that feels right. But for whatever reason, culturally, we love the new year for fresh starts. I disagree with a lot of the fresh starts that people try this time of year because I really feel like the shorter days, the lower energy, the true call within ourselves to rest is a little bit counteractive to a lot of the things people try to kick into gear on these first weeks of January, where they're looking for all of this motivation and energy and stuff that doesn't usually kind of shift the way we want it to until springtime. And I am speaking from, the perspective of someone who lives on the East Coast where we have 4 seasons and where winter is cold and the days are pretty much as short as they get. So yeah, I think we have to temper our expectations for making so much happen just because January 1st is here. And that's why I really love to look at the year as a whole. It's also why I've said in the past that when I work with various clients, I love it when we have the opportunity to work together for a full calendar year because there's just so much that happens, so many shifts that happen within us, outside of us, things that change and transform, and being able to meet and greet that with nervous system regulation, subconscious mind work, examining upper limits and self-sabotage, behaviors and habits throughout all of those cycles is just insanely valuable. But I don't always get to work with people for that long, and that's okay too, because again, with a whole year, so much can change, and also in a day, a week, a month, a quarter, so much can change too. So we are always limitless, and there's always so much that we are capable of changing. And yet, one of the things that holds us back the most is the way that we continually tend to resist our own expansion. And I just want to talk a little bit today about, I want to talk about high functioning anxiety. I want to talk about robbing ourselves of the ability to be present when really almost everything that we want happens in our presence. And I want to talk about shifting when it's not easy to shift. When we get into these lows, when we get into this thinking that doesn't serve us, and when it feels a lot easier to just wallow and be low than it feels to pick ourselves back up into the higher vibrations that will carry us to where we ultimately want to be. So that's kind of what I wanted to frame today, and I wanted to do it by sharing some different stories of mine. So, I released my book, Becoming More Me, Tapping into Success, Subconscious Secrets of an ADHD Entrepreneurial Mom, back in November. All the different various versions from Kindle to paperback to Audible, all rolled out during the month of November. And it was amazing and it was wonderful. And then a few weeks after that was when my husband and I went away to celebrate our anniversary. There was finally this kind of like quiet, beautiful, lovely lull. And somewhere in the midst of that, my thinking got a little askew. And I realized that I now needed to kind of shift gears again. I had shifted gears out of attracting people into my program and coaching. I had a full coaching program all spring, all summer. I let it dwindle down so that I could really focus on the writing and the production and the releasing of my book and give that its beautiful start in the world. And then it's like, oh, I got to shift gears again. And for whatever reason, it was feeling hard. And I think part of why it was feeling hard is because I was tired. It was like running multiple marathons this year, and also, integrating a whole bunch of new things into my business, and, bringing hypnosis to the forefront, and undergoing, all sorts of new certifications and things that I was doing to up level. I took a minute to pause and realize, man, I am tired. But that high functioning voice inside of me that gets anxious, that pressures me to do more instead of being more, and that always wants me to find a way to be productive or, make more money, get more things done, all of that. And then when I take the time to rest and rejuvenate, likes to imply that somehow that is lazy, was definitely piping up during that time. And that's what I had to kind of call out and come to terms with on my own. And I think one of the things that I really like about the end of the year is that there's almost a permission to say no to a lot of things, to not feel as guilty when you don't want to, make a social commitment with someone, or when you just want to focus on getting ready for holidays with your family, or travel plans that you might have, or gearing up for the new year. And in years past, I think I let a lot of that pass me by, like the juiciness of being able to savor slowing down, and would kind of just spin my wheels. And that was kind of what I could feel myself going back into. I know that whenever I've worked with people who have done seasonal work in the past, especially work in retail, the holidays are always triggering, because even if they've been out of retail for years, they can remember the stress, the busyness, the pressure that was on them that time of year. And their body still feels that years afterwards, even though they might not be in any situation that gives them that kind of pressure now with whatever they're doing now. So I was starting to feel guilty heading into this season, thinking, I'm just going to realign and figure things out for the new year, because in my head, because I wasn't in the mode of selling my coaching and serving a lot of people, and which isn't true, these are stories in my head, then I was not worthy of just using this time to reorganize and set next year up right. So there were a lot of stories going on in my head that I needed to face and come to terms with. And also, the space that I was holding for myself during book writing to make sure that things were pleasurable, to bring pleasure into all the different nooks and crannies, I was noticing myself shutting it back out again. And that doesn't feel good, but it does feel familiar. And when we get unconscious about things and we lose our awareness, we revert back to what we were used to and what felt comfortable. So I had this really strange period. Then, it wasn't all that long ago. So I would say I'm still even kind of making my way out of it, where I was just feeling really low, feeling very struggly, feeling a lot of emotions that were not in alignment with creating what I wanted to. And I think this happens to all of us, which is why I really want to shed light on it today. And one of the first things that I find to be really helpful is when you notice yourself kind of getting into these states, is to call yourself out. I shared with Jeff that I was kind of in this like funky place emotionally, and that I was really struggling with a lot of my thoughts and having a harder time than usual reframing them, elevating them, kicking them to the curb, or realizing that they were made up. And so that was a starting point. And then with my coaching community of people who are my counsel, I shared with them that too. I was like, I am just in a funk. I'm in a rut. I don't know what's going on, but this is what I'm noticing. And that was super helpful. So, and I shared it with friends. And then it was like, okay, people know I'm in this place. And now I have the accountability and the support to get out of this place. And I always like to look at the David Hawkins scale that shows us our emotions and kind of where we are, the map of consciousness. If you've ever looked at it, at one end you have shame, which is the lowest feeling emotion, the lowest frequency. And on the opposite end at the top, you have enlightenment, which is very high frequency. In between, there are many other emotions. But when you rise up the scale a little bit from shame, you go through guilt, apathy, grief, fear. On the other side of fear is desire. Okay? So it would seem almost like they could be opposites, but they're not. They're very close to each other on the map of consciousness. And then you go up the scale a little bit more. So after desire, elevating up further, you have anger, you have pride, you have courage, you have neutrality, you have willingness, acceptance, reason. At this point, you're getting much closer to the top. Then you have love. And then you have joy. Then you have peace. And finally, enlightenment. And if you look at what happens a little higher up there, love and joy are right next to each other. But so often, what I see happen in me and what I see happen in a lot of people is we can get stuck right between desire and fear, where it's like we're really tapping into what we want and what we desire, and then we go down a little bit and we're right in fear, go up a little bit into desire, and we fail to take the time to move through the anger, the pride, the courage, the neutrality, the willingness, the acceptance, and the reason, so that we can arrive at love and joy. And everything moves so much easier, happens so much easier when we're in the vibration of love, which then elevates to joy, instead of desire mingling with fear. I hope that makes sense, because it's why it's so important when you're feeling low to really recognize where you are there and how far you might be from love or joy, which are great for magnetizing what you want into your life, and how you might be hanging at desire and maybe even confusing it with love, but not processing all the things that are kind of in between those two emotions on the map of consciousness scale. So I hope that made sense without a visual. And I was definitely hanging out in the fear and desire paradigm, like just really like knowing what I wanted and then getting like super afraid, like how am I ever going to make that happen? Or there's no way, or just really in my head, and then flipping it back to, but I really want, and that's lack also. So when you're in joy and love, there's not that expression of lacking anything, and there's a lot more acceptance and a lot more ability to magnetize what you want into your life. And I always do try to ask myself when things feel a little bit convoluted, a little confusing, a little misaligned, if I am acting from a place of love or fear. Because when you look at that map of consciousness, you can see there's a huge difference. And making decisions, responses, ideas from a place of love instead of fear makes a huge difference in your outcome. And when you're in fear, when you're in worry, you really rob yourself of the ability to be present. I tell you, the presence that you can have when you tap into it, and EFT is a great way to get present, nervous system regulation is a great way to get present, has in it all the abundance that you could ever desire. You know, everything that you think you're craving and desiring, more than financial or material abundance, the abundance of your presence is really, I think, where all of the answers come through. So earlier this month, I was going to be a guest reader at my son's first grade class. I went in actually like the first day of Hanukkah. We read some Hanukkah books. We read some silly books that he liked that weren't holiday related, and just mingled with his class. And he was just so proud and excited that I was there. So that was how I was going to spend the afternoon. And then I was also going to have a catch-up date with a very old friend of mine on Zoom that I knew was going to take well over an hour. We always get chatting, and it's wonderful. And I had some self-care appointments to go to and things like that. And those are the times when I can get kind of in my head, because it's those activities that my soul craves. And it's those activities where our presence is absolutely crucial, imperative in order to enjoy these things. And, you know, also during the month of December, I went away with my mom and my sister for a long weekend, which required me to, I really did put aside work for that weekend. I got up a few mornings early and just kind of checked in on basics, but I wasn't in the headspace for it. I just wanted to be in the abundance of being present with family and appreciating that these are such special moments, such special moments. And I think most people realize that too late, the value of their presence and just being there. You know, when we decide that we're going to be entrepreneurs, that we're going to work for ourselves, and we have high functioning anxiety, it's easy to just want to work all the time and just, you know, throw work at all the things, because there's usually some not enoughness wounds, some worthiness wounds, things like that. And we can numb that and not deal with it if we just keep working. But when we're also moms, got 4 kids over here, like, I had to come to the hard realization that a day in my entrepreneurial life, a day of me, you know, having some struggles or setbacks or feeling meh about the way things are going in that particular moment, that's just a memory making day of their childhood. It's part of that tapestry that they're going to look back on. And I want to try to infuse it with as much of my presence and not my stress or high functioning anxiety or ungrounded energy as I can. So that's why, and it's a lot of what I write about in my book, that's why that pivot that I kind of went through 7 years ago was so important. And that does not mean that I don't have days that I feel ungrounded, not present like I'd like to be, or worthy of simply enjoying my time with my kids, my family, my loved ones, myself, because I do still struggle with that. That the consciousness and awareness that we can cultivate around this make it easier to cut through it. You know, it's kind of like a hot knife through butter instead of a cold knife and a frozen stick of butter. You know, it's just much easier, much smoother, much faster to kind of realize that you're getting off course and to reconnect with love, to reconnect with the abundance that's already inside of you. And that's where I see so much value in this work. You know, I think that awareness is really what a lot of us are missing when it comes to taking care of our own challenges. Not saying that we're not aware about a lot of things, but that thing that we keep repeating, that Groundhog Day, that familiar thing we keep going back to, even though what we really desire is the unfamiliar new path that has exactly what we want on it, that's where our awareness is usually muted, and where tools like subconscious mind work, nervous system regulation, EFT, meditation, breath work can really take us into a new realm of awareness where our becoming has no limits. And we can always be finding these new levels and exploring these new ways that we want to show up in our own lives. And I think it also allows us to tap into more of the big picture and to realize, in the case of this kind of funk that I felt like I was stepping into at the end of November, where I was telling myself stories that this wasn't really the time to ramp up and try to, do lots of business because everybody's getting ready for the holidays, or that I simply don't feel like it and I want to rest too, but I don't feel worthy of resting because I haven't been working in the ways that make me feel worthy. In other words, a lot of times I can get to a place where I feel like if I'm not earning X, if I'm not up leveling X, if I'm not showing up in this new way, then I am not worthy of simply relaxing and enjoying this precious life. And it's BS, but I will shine a light on it because I think it happens in a lot of us. And I do know that the awareness that I have of that allows me to snap out and back into the me that knows and believes that I'm exactly where I need to be, and that I don't know the best way that things are going to work out, but the universe does. And it's my job to collaborate with the universe, to trust in the universe, and to fulfill my end of the bargain and let the universe know what I want, align with that frequency, and take inspired action. And allow all of the different, 8 principles that are necessary to manifest to come into play. And that happens so much easier when I can relax, when I can soften, when I can trust. And then I can begin to raise my vibration, even during those times when it feels really hard. I can sit down and just do a round of EFT tapping and let out the things that are getting in the way. This morning I posted a reel about kind of hitting this upper limit issue. Had a beautiful morning with my husband. It's been a choppy couple of weeks with travel and schedules and feeling a little disconnected, which we both recognized and we talked about. And yet there still just hadn't been the right time to just really kind of connect and like melt into each other and really feel the power of our love and relationship in these last couple of weeks. And it was frustrating, and it fed into some of those other negative thoughts and feelings. But unlike years and years ago, it wasn't something that I or we kept to ourselves. We acknowledged the elephant in the room, and we were both ready to reconnect in the ways that feel really good to us. And so this morning we did have a few hours before he had to go to work, before I had to get the kids up. Us, we're early risers. And we just beautifully connected this morning. And it was an amazing morning. Just lots of love and connection and just shared pleasure being together. And then, we got up, we got things ready for the kids for their school day. And I noticed myself just falling into feeling really irritable, really cranky, really short-tempered. And unfortunately, it was time to wake the kids up then, and they had a very reactive, irritable mom for the 20 or 30 minutes we get together in the morning, which I always hate. And I was even able to recognize that as I was getting them ready for school, because I was kind of going in and out, being kind of snippy, snipey, irritated, kind of yelly. And, Jordan's like, why are you being so mean, mommy? I'm like, man, I don't want to be mean. I feel like I don't have enough time. Ooh, time scarcity. I'm like feeling it, connecting with it. And I didn't feel like he was being cooperative. I wasn't being cooperative. We were just butting heads. But I had an awareness around it, and we were able to kind of talk about it in between me being reactive. And, he sat down to breakfast, and I was like, oh, I don't like it when mornings start out this way. I said, I need to take a little time after you guys get on the bus and just see what's going on inside of me. I said, I think I have some emotions and some energy that I need to process or release or something. My 6-year-old's so wise, and he's just like, yeah, mommy, you do that. And it's like he gets it though. He's like, yeah, I'm not feeling great this morning either, and I think I probably need to do some tapping. And it's like, okay, we can do that later if you want. But we both kind of recognized that we were not in our best place. But I know 100% it was because I was experiencing this upper limit in my ability and feelings of worthiness of being in a time of just so much pleasure and love with my husband during the morning, and then trying to hold that and keep it with me. And I was reverting back to what was familiar to me, which was to go into feelings that are quite the opposite of that. And it's not even that that's familiar to me on a regular daily basis now. It's familiar to me from decades ago. And there's still some reprogramming to do there to be able to hold those feelings of pleasure and love and worthiness for longer periods of time, and to expand into bigger feelings of those things. But I was definitely finding myself resisting my expansion. And when we do that, we defend our limitations. And you know how that goes. When you defend your limitations, you get to keep them. And when we resist our expansion, we get to keep our suffering. And so I took myself from this beautiful place of love and pleasure and high vibrations, and then I sabotaged it. I sabotaged it because the story in my head was that I wasn't worthy of that. And the story in my head was that I wasn't worthy of that because I have not been working and productive and earning and doing the things that my high functioning anxiety brain would have deemed me worthy of relaxing and being in pleasure. Isn't that a crock? I'm sharing that because I'll betcha you've got places you've done this too. So it's never easy to share these things, but I really do feel like we're all walking each other home. And sometimes it's really hard to crack through the things that are right in front of your nose. And that's why we need each other. That's why, getting into a program where somebody can help you to look at these things and can hold space for these things can be more valuable than you can even imagine. And I think that's how really good coaching should be. It should always end up providing something that it's like, wow, I didn't even think about the way this was going to affect fill in the blank. My relationship with my kids, my relationship with my dog, my feelings when I exercise, my body confidence, my food habits, my sleep, there's always going to be some angle that maybe you came into coaching because you wanted to work on fill in the blank. And then when you wrap things up in a really transformative coaching container, there's nothing that's untouched. And that's part of the reason I'm really excited to let you guys know that I have several new ways that I'm going to be working with people in 2024. And it's all been inspired through my new book and through the coaching work that I've immersed myself in over the last many years. So it's evolved to this place where there is a brand new version of the Becoming More Me signature program that I'm introducing and new ways that it's being delivered. There's going to be both one-on-one and community aspects of it. And for the first time ever, I'm also offering community only memberships. And that's going to allow people an easier way to access and tap in to the coaching. And then I have the other options for people that want the one-on-one work too. So there's a lot of different ways that we can explore how to get nervous system regulation and subconscious mind work into your life and changing all the things in 2024. And I would love to talk with you about them. You can always book a quick insight call with me. Insight calls are exactly for that reason. They're for insight. So these are short calls where I can offer you some great insights, some great little revelations or ideas of where your focus might be best spent in your own self-work and your own personal development. And then if from there you'd like more information about what I personally do, that's fine, but never any pressure, never any strings. Insight calls are for insights and me to learn about you and offer you what I can. I've got tons of resources and tons of ways I can kind of point you in a direction that might be helpful. So take advantage, book a call. GameChangingConversation.com is where you'll find my calendar. And then you can learn about those different programs if you choose as well. I'm excited to share about them. And I always feel like when coaches offer new programs or new iterations of their programs, that is the time to get in. That's just been my experience in the past. And with this particular program, which is going to build and grow into larger numbers over time, getting in with me at the beginning is going to be like super intimate, even if you're just in the community option. So just something to consider when you're one of the first people to get on board with something like this that is inevitably going to grow quite a bit this year. Then you get a lot more of me in the beginning than what might get spread out between more people in the coming months. So if you were on the fence or you're thinking, oh, I'll just wait until later, there's some pretty massive value in right now. And then the other thing I wanted to share before I wrap this up is that I'm going to be doing a book club for my new Becoming More Me, Tapping into Success, Subconscious Secrets of an ADHD Entrepreneurial Mom book, starting in late January 2024. And I would love to have you come book club with me. It's going to be free. It's going to go on for several months. All of the details will be coming out really soon. I will put information in the show notes here for this episode so that you know how to sign up or express interest. And all you really need to do is make sure you have a copy of the book. And up until we begin the book club, I'm offering for people who purchase the paperback and then share a story, tag me, show the book, share a little something that you're learning from it, whatever, on social media, I will gift you a copy of the Audible book. So that's only going to be going on for a little while longer. And if you're in my community, which there's also a link for in the show notes, so if you're not, please join. The community has a post where you can claim that free copy of the Audible book and get all the details there. So yeah, in closing, the book club's coming up. Get signed up for it because that's going to be a time when we can meet live, talk about the book, and learn from each other and share our own personal revelations and stories as they relate to and are seen through the lens of the different chapters of the book. And if you're looking for even more transformation in 2024, book an insight call with me at GameChangingConversation.com. And I'm excited to start sharing these different ways that I am available to work with you in the new year. It's going to be amazing. And I just hope that if you're encountering low vibrations or kind of on this strange seesaw of emotions as we pass through the end of 2023 and enter the beginning of 2024, that some of the information that I shared with you today is helpful, that you can find ways to move up on the map of consciousness and experience some emotions that are more in alignment with what you're wanting to bring into your life and create a more predominant emotional state that aligns with those things, and that you can experience more awareness of the emotions that you're experiencing on the day-to-day. You know, we just never know when things are going to hit us. I didn't know this morning that I was going to have a whole upper limit journey and all this self-realization and sit down and do some EFT tapping and release some things and reframe some stories and let go of some beliefs and be sitting here a few hours later feeling completely transformed and aware of what just happened. But here I am. And that's what the work's all about. So just wishing you all the transformation that you desire and the safety and support to carry it out and enjoy the process of becoming. Thanks for listening. Thanks for spending some of your precious time with me today. If you loved this episode, please leave a review or simply share it with someone else who would get great benefit from it too. If you share on social media, please tag me so I can personally connect and thank you. Until next time, keep taking bold and brave steps towards becoming more of who you want to be in this world. You are capable, you are worthy, and you are enough. And if your inner critic is still trying to argue with those facts, hit me up. We've got work to do.